Hi, if you are someone who is struggling to maintain a balance between professional life and personal life, if you are someone who is constantly burnt out, stressed out because of too much of workload at workplace, then today's episode is for you. Today we are going to discuss how you can set boundaries so that you can maintain the balance, the much needed balance between your professional life and personal life. And also, we are also going to discuss how you can prevent burnouts because of too much of work. So stay tuned till the very end because there is a lot to discuss and a lot to know. Hi, my name is Akshay Tiwari. I'm a founder of Holistic Happiness Club, author of Usher, and without further delay, let's dive into the topic. All right, so let's discuss today's topic. And the first thing which we need to discuss is what is burnout. So we are talking about preventing the burnout. So first thing we need to understand what burnout is actually. So in a nutshell, in a gist, we can define burnout as the state or the situation where some person is completely mentally and physically exhausted. Okay, so that is burnout. And some of the symptoms of burnout can be number one is exhaustion, just as I just said that when the person does not have any more zeal or energy to left to work anymore. So that's one of the symptoms. If that is coming from overworking, that's burnout. Okay, the person becomes cynical and he gets detached from the fun activities at home and he gets detached from the social life. That's another symptom. The third symptom is reduced performance. Your performance takes a hit when you are burnt out, right? You will not be able to put out your 100%. And the fourth symptom is physical and emotional health issue. Physical health issue might include like digestive issue, gastrointestinal issues, or maybe frequent headaches. So those physical issues, if you are feeling, if you're getting those issues constantly, that maybe it is coming from burnt outs. Okay, and the emotional health issues may be irritation and depressive feeling and not feeling like doing anything. All those things are the signs and symptoms of burnout. And the last but not the least is impaired concentration. If you are burnt out, you will not be able to concentrate or enjoy anything fully. So these are some signs and symptoms of burnout. So why burnout happens in the first place? And the answer to this question is it is because constant exposure to stressors and unmanaged stress. Like so most of us have this constant exposure to stressors, but most many of us do not get burnout. So what is the reason that some gets burnt out and some not? So some of us are having this liberty to take a break and get detached from those stressors time to time in a regular interval. So that gives a kind of a recharge or boost, and that those people do not get burned out. All right. So and other set of people they are more equipped with tools and practices, or maybe they are designed this way by birth that they can handle a lot more stress than the others. Now, apart from these two people, other people gets burnt out at some point in their life or the other. All right, so what we can do, we cannot suddenly develop this liberty to take a break from all the stressors. What we can do, we can equip ourselves with tools and practices so that we do not get burnt out even if we are constantly exposed to stressors, and that is what we are going to discuss. One of the thing to manage that stress. See, all of us are exposed to stressors. Some of us are getting burnt out, some of us are not. Those who are not, they are managing their stress well. Okay, so this is the episode is all about. One of the tool, one of the practice of managing the stress is setting the boundary. All right, so that's what we are going to discuss. All right, so that leads me to the next point, which is what are boundaries? Boundaries, in a gist, you can say that it is a self-declared guidelines or set of rules that you have declared for yourself to tell yourself what is acceptable to you and what is not acceptable to you. So that is boundaries, and it's a kind of a very general definition. It can be applied anywhere. It can be applied in your work life, yes. It can be applied in your relationship. It can be applied in your family life, it can be applied in your social life, it can be applied in your health as well. Yes, there are some aspects where you need to restrict yourself, otherwise that becomes unhealthy, right? So anything in excess, that it becomes unhealthy, even though the thing is healthy. All right, so boundaries are needed in every aspect of your life. So today we are going to talk how to set up boundaries in your work life so that your personal life is not impacted and you are not burnt out because of the work. So that leads me to the next point, how to set boundaries. Okay, so the first thing is about setting the boundaries is, so first we need to understand that why we need to set the boundaries. The reason of setting up the boundaries is because it limits your exposure to the stressors, number one, and also it tells you that these are the things that you need to focus on, and other which are not coming inside the boundary which you have set for yourself, they are not as important and they do not need too much of your energy and time. All right, so now let's come back to how to set up the boundaries. The first point is evaluate your time. Now let me explain this because it might be a little confusing how to evaluate your own time. The thing is that so many time in general, when we are living our life on autopilot mode, we do not feel, or we actually fail to notice that how much time we are investing or wasting or utilizing in one particular task, right? So for example, you can say that you have 8 hours of work, okay, but are you actually putting 8 hours in that work? You have lunch break in between, you have tea break in between, or maybe you are helping some other person in the same time, you have meetings in the same time. So are you actually able to put your 8 hours of work in the actual work which you are expected to do? No, right? So that's what I mean from evaluating your time. So that you need to evaluate in which area you are putting how much time. That will give you a clear picture that how much actual time you have in hand to finish a task, right? That is very important. If you are failing to evaluate your time, if you are failing it in the first step, rest of the things will not matter as much. All right. So once you have evaluated that how much time you really have in your hand to finish the task, then you come to the next step, that is define your limits and set realistic expectations. Okay. Here I'm talking about that you need to know your working style. Everyone has a different working style. Some of us are more efficient than the others. Some of us are not less efficient than the other. And it's all right. You do not have to be someone else. You just have to be yourself. Okay. So you need to know your working style. Maybe you are good in one set of areas, but not good in other set of area. But that's fine. That's fine. It happens with all of us. Not everyone is like a god who can do everything magically, right? So that will be there with everyone. So identify your core strength in your workplace, that this is the part where I'm good at, this is the part where I take less time, and this is the part where I take more time. So I need to allocate more time for this particular task or this particular kind of task. And once you have identified that, then it comes to define your limits, meaning if you if out of 8 hours of work you really are getting 3 or 4 hours of work to finish a task, now in that 4 hours of work, what kind of task you would want to take, or what kind of task you can finish in that frame of time. That's what I'm talking here in define your limits. And once you have defined, then the second point is set realistic expectation, that is towards other. Once you have once you got to know yourself, that what you are good at, what you can do in this 4 hour window, now you need to communicate that to others, right? You need to tell that to other that see, hey, I have this 4 hour of time, realistically speaking, not 8 hours of time. And in this 4 hour time, I can finish one or two or maybe half of the task. So I will be taking the task accordingly. Okay. Okay. And the third point is evaluate the task in hand thoroughly. What happens most of the times, I have said this earlier also, most of the time we evaluate the task on the surface level. I used to do that a lot. I still do that. If some task is given to me and somebody has allocated 1 week of time, and I will look at the task on the surface level and I will see, oh, I can do this in 2 days. And 3 days I might be wasting, or maybe I will be utilizing those 3 days in something else, thinking that in the last 2 days this task will be done. I still do that sometime when I fall into that trap. But the thing is that if we have not evaluated the task, it can surprise us. At the last moment when you are sitting to finish that task, it can come up with so many layers that you might start thinking that the original time which was allocated to you, that was itself not enough. On top of that, you have wasted half of the time, right? So evaluate the task in the beginning itself and try to finish that as early as possible. That's another point about avoiding the procrastination. All right. Anyways, so here what I'm talking is evaluate the task and commit accordingly, because if you have not evaluated your commitment to the deadline which you will give, that will not be accurate. All right. So this is very important that once you get the task, you evaluate it thoroughly and then you commit it accordingly. Learn to say no. That's the next point. Learn to say no. It does not mean to be arrogant, or it does not mean that you stop taking responsibilities, or it does not mean that you come across that you do not want to take up any task, but communicate your need effectively. Say to your superior or to seniors that, hey, listen, I'm ready to take this task. But the problem here is that we have to do some trade-off with the task which I'm already having in hand, because whatever task I'm having in hand, that is set to be done by this time. And if you are on top of that, if you are giving me this another task, either this task will get delayed or that task will get delayed. So we need to have a trade-off. So we need to have this clear-cut distinction that I'm having my plate full. I cannot take anything more until something is empty. All right. So you need to communicate effectively, and you will be able to communicate effectively only when you are honest to yourself. Only when you know, and when you are clear about what you are having in your plate and how much time it will take to complete. When you have that clarity, when you have that knowledge, that conviction will come in your voice automatically to communicate, to convey that to your superior that, hey, listen, I cannot take another task at this particular point in time. All right. So to for this step, learning to say no, it is very important that you have evaluated your time and you have evaluated the requirement and the task that you are having in hand. All right. So that leads me to the last point, which is delegate and ask for help when needed. Especially in today's time when it is very uncertain, that AI and a lot of geopolitical situations which are not in our hand, they are driving the jobs, they are driving the layoffs and all. We do not want to come across as weak, and that's why sometimes we take more than what we can chew, and we do not even ask for help because we think that it might appear that I'm not knowledgeable enough or I'm not competent enough to finish this task. But let me tell you one thing, it's better to ask for help, because if you do not, you will you are compromising on many things. You are compromising on deadline number one, which again will show you incompetent. This is point number one. And the point number two is you are compromising on your health because it will lead to burnout. You will be doing a lot of extra work, whereas someone else can, maybe if somebody else is expert, or maybe somebody else if has more knowledge on that particular task than you, then that person can help you, that person can help you finish the task in 5 minutes, which you will take maybe an hour or so, right? Just a hypothetical example. So what I'm trying to say is, if you are not asking for help, at the end you will be missing the deadline, which will show you that you are incompetent. It's better to ask for help. It Asking for help doesn't show that you are incompetent. Everybody needs help, whether it's senior, whether it's junior, whether they are expert or they are novice, doesn't matter. Everyone needs help. Okay, so there is no harm, there is no shame in asking for help. And delegate whenever it is possible. Delegate most of the time, especially with senior resources. What happens that we are reluctant to delegate it to our junior folks, thinking that the amount of time I will take to explain this requirement and get it done through someone else, I will do it myself in half of the time. While that is true, well, that might be true in most of the cases today. But the thing is that if you are delegating the task to today, tomorrow they will help you offload some of your responsibility. The art of delegating, I call this as developing the wings. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes a lot of courage also sometimes to delegate what you are having to someone else. But in on long run, it does not mean 10 years down the line, but very near future, it will help you, it will give you ability to fly and take up more important stuffs. All right. So that is delegate and ask for help when needed. This is how these are 5 points I have noted down. Using these, you can set boundaries and prevent yourself from taking more than what you can chew. And that will ultimately prevent burnout. That will ultimately reduce your stress. All right. All right. So we have just discussed 5 points about a strategy, or you can say the way you can set the boundaries. All right. Now let's discuss some tips to avoid burnouts. Okay. And these tips are not necessarily or entirely connected with setting up the boundaries, but somewhere these two are connected. Okay, so the first tip is mindful use of technology. The thing is that there is a lot of overlap nowadays between your personal devices and your work related devices. Your related devices might have something personal, or your personal devices might have something related to work. So first thing is that you can create a separation in these two areas, that your work related devices should be separate and your personal devices should be separate as much as possible. I understand that sometimes it is unavoidable because of the kind of the policy or kind of the software or technology we are using, but separate it out as much as possible. And another thing is that while you are working, try to switch off the notification, try to set aside a focused time. Okay, so what happens actually when we are trying to work, when we are trying to focus, these notification, whether it's on our personal device or on our professional devices, they take away a lot of concentration, and to reconcentrate on some problem again, it takes a lot. So it's better to cut out those distractions, these notification emails and push notifications and all those things, that just try to cut out for a small period of time, maybe for half an hour, for 1 hour, and work for that 1 hour, then take a small break, and then you can start working again. All right. So yeah, so mindful use of technology. Second point is uh, avoid procrastination. The last episode in this series was how to avoid procrastination. Okay. One of the thing about procrastination is that It is a way we deal with stress. And that's what a lot of experts say, that procrastination is a way to deal with stress. And the way it is explained is that when you see a lot of work, then your mind starts stressing about it. And so what you do is you put that work aside and you start doing something else, maybe scrolling or watching reels or something funny or maybe movie. So that provides you an escape to avoid that stress. That may be true, but again, avoiding that, it does not mean that it is going to go away. If it is your work, sooner or later you will have to do it. There is no other way about it. So the best way to avoid or deal with that stress is uh, one of the in one of the interviews, Jeff Bezos had said that when somebody asked him that you might be doing a lot of work, then how you are coping up with the stress, he said that stress comes because we are trying to avoid something which needs to be done right now. So if you are avoiding, you are not doing, it is constantly playing in your mind that I have to do it, I have to do it, I have to do it, I have not done it, I have not done it. So maybe when tomorrow I'm going to going in a meeting, my superior, my manager will ask, where is the presentation? Where is the report? What you have done? And I will not have an answer. And when you are imagining that situation, it is creating a stress in your mind. So the best way to deal with that stress is start working on that. You do not have to finish the task. You do not have to be an expert in that. What you need to do is you just need to start. The mere act of starting to work on the project which you are supposed to work on, that will reduce the great level of stress. Might give you a different kind of stress that you are working on it, but it will also give you a relaxation that you are doing something about what needs to be done, right? So avoid procrastination. That was the point number two. Point number three, take a break of joy. I discussed this one in one of our earlier episode, but I will briefly tell you what it is. So what it is that in the middle of the day, you take out consciously, you take out 5 minutes or 7 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever you can afford, and you do and you indulge in the favorite activity of yours. It can be very simple. It can be something complicated, depends on you. If you have the luxury to play guitar in your workplace, that also you can do. If you do not, if you have the luxury to enjoy a warm cup of beverage, maybe coffee, tea, or whatever you like, that is also fine. If you want to enjoy some music, just use a headphone and just enjoy, just cut everything out, focus, that give that 5 minute just to yourself, take a break and just enjoy those 5 minutes. Forget everything just for 5 minutes. 5 minutes will, in this 5 minute, nothing extraordinary is going to happen, right? You just give yourself that 5 minutes, and that, believe me, when you will do that, that 5 minute will give you a kind of boost that is very much needed to go about the rest of the day energetically. And when your energy is high, you get more done in less time. Take a break of joy. And fourth point is develop concentration. Yes. So it is important because we are most of the time distracted with something or the other. So think about it. If you're working for 4 hours, in between you are getting calls, you are getting messages, you are replying to them, you are scrolling few things, and you are liking some post and other things, you're commenting out. It is eating away a lot of time without your knowledge. Okay, so develop concentration, and I have dedicated one full episode, I think second last episode in the series itself, how you can develop uh, single point focus and improve your productivity. Okay, and that leads me to the last point: designate a workspace, designated workspace, you can say. So it's kind of a psychological game that You dedicate one place. If you are going to office, then it's much easier. But if you are not, if you're working from home, then also you can dedicate one corner where you just work. No entertainment, no eating, nothing, just work. So when you sit in that corner, your mind starts telling you that this place is for work. You are not supposed to do anything else. So when that actually uh, uh, helps you create a boundary between your work time and your personal time. One thing, and it improves your focus, as we have talked in point number 4, developing concentration. It improves your focus, which in turn gets more done in less amount of time. And that's how you save some time for your personal life. You get more things done, right? See, work life balance is not about not doing work and spending more time in the personal life. It is about getting things done which are supposed to be done in your work life as well, and spending enough time and quality time with in your personal space. Yeah, that's what work life balance. It's not about that you are not doing anything in the work and you are spending more time in your personal space. It's not about that. So you have to develop this ability that you get more done in the time which is allocated for work. All right. So with that, this is the end of the topic. So let me know, how did you like this topic? How did you like this episode? What did you learn from it? What are your tips to set some boundaries, and what are your tips to avoid burnout? I want to learn from you, right? So with that, I will say that this is the end of the topic. All right. So before we end this episode, I would just want to announce that Holistic Happiness Club has launched different memberships, and the first level of the membership is bronze. You can join as bronze for free as of now, and yet then later you can upgrade. You can be a lifetime member of Holistic Happiness Club for free as of now. All right. So that's one announcement. And if you want to connect with me personally on social media, then Instagram is the place. I'm most active on this Instagram. You can have some daily dose of wisdom there. I share daily content, stories, and posts and reels, etc. So you can connect with me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Happiness Architect. You can also connect with me if you have any query, or you want to connect with me on website. Then my website is akshaytiwari.in. With that, we have come to the end of this episode. Stay healthy, stay happy. God bless you. Take care of yourself and take care of your loved one. Wherever you are, stay blessed. And always remember, happiness is a lifestyle.